Hello there guys, how are we all doing today? We've got a great set of games on our hand. Sadly, no Challenger or Masters Division games, so we're going to be bringing you the kind of the highlights of Inters. We've obviously got Platoon Beta versus Hogriders. It is on Inferno, and it should be a nice one to watch. But what are your thoughts jumping into this one, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how some of these teams do. I believe Platoon Beta were in the finals last season of the public division, but sadly weren't able to best their opponents in that. It was a really close match. I believe it was against Fluffy Gangsters. It was such a close affair, so it's going to be really great to see how they do perform here in the Inters. I think we've always got a lot of question marks when teams sort of go up a division, just to sort of see if they can replicate that sort of level of form. It's going to be an absolute treat to see if they can.
And I feel like the great thing about the Inters division is, you know, maybe 3-4 seasons time, we might see these guys in the Challenger, or, you know, kind of fighting their way into it at least. I feel like I like the fact that, you know, a lot of established teams might just get that early invite, but sometimes when you're, I don't want to say a bit of a no-name team, but an unknown entity, you could say, that's where you will just have to see them kind of climb through the ranks, get themselves into the kind of the next division to playoffs. But I feel like we definitely could be seeing some of these Inters teams getting their way into the Masters next season, and maybe even going that one step further as well, because I feel like sometimes you'll see a lot of the teams when they do progress, they get a little bit outmatched, a little bit outclassed, but I feel like some of these Inters teams really can surprise you. I feel like you see a lot more domination in the regular season from the public division and also the intermediate division, because there is that kind of slight imbalance of kind of player ability, you could say. But hopefully this should be a good one. Obviously, after this one, we do have another great game. I believe it is En Route versus YMCA, so that should be a nice one as well. Both games on Inferno. Quite interesting as well, something that we mentioned. We haven't really seen that much Inferno kind of in the Masters and the Challenger division, but we're jumping straight into this one. Just a fast B here. Just playing this one very simple. Chipsec on top of first oranges, able to get a double. The trade will come through. The Julie's on the T side. That's a real rarity, but Gibby making things work. 3-on-4 here. I don't believe there's a kit in play, so the retake could be slightly tough. McHughes ready to swing off, try and get the trade. Oh, but it's a bloodbath. All goes the way of the T's. It just leaves Phenomenon. Finds the first. One of these players is 14 HP as well. It's all on to Runston, but as the time ticks away, Phenomenon taps away the bomb, stays hidden. Oh, the swing might come through now. Oh, and that is perfect. What a clutch there from Phenomenon. That is ridiculous. 1 versus 3 there. Played it to perfection. Tap on the bomb, and instead of peeking out, waiting for the swing, just stayed tucked. Perfect crosshair placement and found the frag. That is ridiculous.
Obviously, really impressive stuff there. First round going to Platoon Beta is certainly what they need. I feel like just to sort of have that element of confidence going into this Inters division. I don't believe we have seen Hogriders actually play an SCL game. They have played, I mean, they played one more this season, but I think before this, they haven't played a single SCL game before. They lost 16-4 to AFE, and that was quite a tough game for them there. They're obviously going to be hoping to right their wrongs, but if Platoon can get off to an early start, that could be a bit of a devastating blow to Hogriders.
I feel like, you know, the one saving grace here for Hogriders is even if they do lose this one, because as you mentioned, Platoon Beta, they look great in the public division, and I feel like they're certainly going to bring the firepower here in the Inters. But I feel like something to mention is, obviously, you know, they've still got 6 more games after this one. It's not the kind of be-all and end-all. The one thing they do need to realise, though, is generally the intermediate and the public division will have a lot more teams in, and therefore to get yourself into playoffs, you're going to have a far greater record. Instead of kind of looking at that 5-3 as a guarantee, that 5-3 might just be kind of on the brink, on the cusp. You might have to get yourself into an even more dominant situation, maybe even a 6-2, which would be quite interesting to see. So if they do lose this one, it could be a little bit dicey for them, but I guess we'll see how this season goes. But lovely from Chipsec. Be able to find one, gets a second. That's a job well done there with the MP9. Finding 2 kills. Oh, Kvartan takes down Senka. Phenomenon with the trade. So still man advantage for Platoon Beta. And now the util's going to be coming through. Bomb will land on the default plant. It's getting planted on the back of the site, but Phenomenon just on the edge of the smoke spots Shepherd. And all that remains is Kvartan.
It's trapped towards Banana for now. 3 targets to find, none of which have a defuse kit on their back.
The one problem is
P9s and obviously that M4, but just can be so locked off.
and because he's not planted for default, he can't even spam through the smoke. Kvartan, realistically, just save this Galil into the next. Make sure you keep yourself alive. Obviously, it's going to be an interesting buy from Hogriders, whether they opt to go for it or not. Obviously, the money for both sides isn't perfect, but Kvartan could drop that Galil over, invest in an AK, and can get out some util, and that's exactly what's going on here. I think Hogriders, they understand, you know what, we could break the money of our opponents here. Let's just go for it, give it a try. If they do win this one, they could put themselves at a level playing field in this map.
A bit of a dicey buy for both teams. A lot of Galils in play in this round. 6 Galils in total.
Love to
2
see
on the
it.
CT side, 4 on the T. Yeah, it's only cemented its place in meta after having that price reduced.
Yeah,
It wasn't a weapon you actually saw nearly as much as you probably should have, but yeah, definitely bought a lot more now.
well, I feel like it kind of, it had a little bit of a bonus. You could bring out some extra pieces of util, but it really wasn't really, you know, I feel like a lot of people would just opt for the AK instead of a Galil and a tiny bit more util, but you know, you can bring out the Galil and you can get yourself, well, you can get yourself a molly smoke and a flash. What, you know, why wouldn't you go for that?
Yeah, Hogriders do find the opening kill. That's Noro being taken down, so this could be what Hogriders did need to, in fact, break down money of Platoon. Maybe start getting back into this game themselves, but you can't count Platoon out. They've got a 3-man A-hold still.
I love the positioning of Senka. Can just find one and back away, but he could be good for 2 here. Oh, he spots him. Oh, runs out of ammo. That is devastating. So unfortunate here. They might decide to crunch in on the A-bomb site here. McHughes just going to be rotating towards Mini Pit with a lot of targets, but he's found a couple. All that remains is Phenomenon.
Look at their health.
Yeah, Chipset can still win this. Definitely going to give it a try. Steps have been heard. Oh, what a clutch from Chipsick. Even with the MP9 at range, taking down Ruston. That is devastating for Hogriders.
Yeah, you see exactly what happens when that low HP sort of comes through and the impact of it. That Hogriders, it looked like they did all the hard work, but all it takes is Chipsick getting a bit of good time in, finding the first, and the second play is in a really tricky situation there because the swing's actually a little late. So it's sort of
unfortunate.
Yeah, it's in your head. You're doing it because it's the right thing to do, but when your health is so low, sometimes you go for that. It's a really tough call to make. But obviously, you understand the reasoning. I probably think most of us would have went for that swing.
Yeah,
Sadly,
definitely.
timing's ever so slightly off. So
I mean,
you can see Chips they able to 180 just find the frag.
You've got to imagine that it wasn't as though, you know, the timing wasn't great, but it was just a perfect 180. Yes, he was low HP, but I feel like we could have still seen that round go the way of Hogriders. But it's unfortunate. You've got to remember, Charlie, the pistol round was won by a 1v3. That was a clutch 1v2 with an MP9. Hogriders, it seems as though they know what to do. They consistently take control of the bomb sites, but it's when they're in these post plants they seem to struggle. AWP in play for Phenomenon. This could be a real difference maker for their side. And something else to mention, Hogriders, they've opted for another investment here. Util's not perfect though, but they have found this opening pick. That was the AWP Phenomenon going down. Something to mention though, Charlie, if Hogriders get this bomb down and just consistently decide to invest, there's always going to be some slight limitations. That is unfortunate from Kvartan. Potentially just a bit of a panic jump there. But they're never going to have perfect util and they're never going to have perfect weaponry. We still see it here. They've got Galils. They had a lack of util at the start with the couple AKs invested. And we're never going to really see those kind of AWPs being brought out. So we need to see Hogriders either find success in these rounds and eventually close it out, or they've got to just take an eco. It's a 4-on-3 here. Shepherd will find Noro. And look at McHughes. Only able to find one, in fact. Chipsick luckily takes down Shepherd and puts Gibby in the 1v2.
Yeah, Gibby could in fact isolate these gunfights, but they are both regrouping. If he peeks perfectly, he can actually catch one off. Steps have been heard as well. Senka slightly too slow, but Gibby looks like he wanted to give up a little more.
Oh, it came down to the final bullets there for Senka. They do have enough time. So that's four in a row.
Clutches just constantly go in the way of Platoon. Really close game, but Platoon are just the ones that winning out on all these clutches.
I think that's why Hogriders are constantly going for these full investments, because the money for Platoon's not perfect. Phenomenon Noro really not going to get a great buyout, and Hogriders, with that bomb plant, they can invest. There are going to be slight limitations, as I mentioned before. You can see on 3 of the players already only 2 pieces of util invested. Gibby's not going to have any problem with util, but overall, only having, 14 pieces in comparison to, the optimum 20, there's always going to be that slight limitation. But it seems as though this is going to be the best chance they have, really. Their buy's pretty strong, and Platoon, they're going to be having some slight limitations, especially on a player like Noro.
Obviously, CT side, just the CT side economy in general can be a lot more brutal than the T side.
Sometimes devastating. I think I understand Hogriders constantly going for these full investments because they can break the bank of their opponents, but they're going to find 2 rounds off it? Maybe 3 at a push? But Platoon, it seems as though they're always, in these clutch situations, they're always outmatching their opponents. And you've got to imagine
getting close, but
you've got to imagine, Charlie, what if Hogriders aren't finding this opening pick? Because I feel like they've done it in quite a lot of these rounds. We saw it in the last, they took down Phenomenon, the AWP towards A. If Hogriders aren't finding these opening picks, the round's going to be even harder.
yeah, certainly a lot of question marks in terms of how this game could pan out. Do you believe we're going to have a bit of tech pause? I believe one of the players on the Platoon side has pretty high ping, so potentially we could have a bit of a server change if it continues. See, the AWP's going to be out for tournament. It's going to be interesting to see what Noro and Chipsick do and decide to buy.
Yeah, I think the question is, will Senka just drop another M4 across and take the hit on utility, or will we see an MP9 on a player like Noro? Because we could see, 4 M4s and an AWP. There is a possibility behind it, because obviously Chipsick does have armor. Yeah, we do see that dropped M4. Wonder what Hogriders decide to change, though. Because it seems, yes, they're great at taking the bomb site, but potentially it's that lack of utility when holding off on the retake.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned obviously this is sort of on paper their best buy that they've had. And maybe this is sort of the difference that they needed in terms of just to be able to cross the line. Maybe there'd been too many limitations, and maybe this is what they need. But I mean, you have to think if Hogriders don't win this,
You've got to take it.
Really going
to
be up in the air.
They've been great at getting the bomb down, but we need to see a change from Hogriders, because this is the problem with these best of ones. It's not just a problem, but it can sometimes be the kind of the greatness in these situations, especially when you're a team that haven't had the greatest of seasons. It's a best of one. All it takes is you get a good start on a game, and then you kind of can just keep progressing. We've already seen Platoon. They've got a 4-0 lead. They win this, they could potentially have 6. depending on whether Hogriders do get that bomb down. And already that's a brilliant half. Even if, you know, out of the remaining 9 rounds, Hogriders find 5 of them, it's still a 10-5 half. Especially on a map like Inferno, a very split map. Not to say it is all over for Hogriders, they definitely can take this one, and as we mentioned before, it is their strongest chance, but we are returning back to the land of the living, as all technical issues have been sorted out. As I mentioned before, we do see those 4 M4s in play. Venom opted for no util here, has 2k in the reserve, but just brought out the AWP, potentially just going to be going for an aggressive peek. Getting aggressive towards apartments. I like this apps push. Can work out perfectly. A flashbang will come through, but it won't blind them. But it will give away this information. Oh, Fenneman will find one. Oh, what a shot there. Went for the no-scope as well. Found the second. Even after his teammate falls, we'll be able to keep that man advantage.
Yeah, that's shut down Hogriders for now. In fact, going to make things a lot tougher in this execute situation. But players snug through in the back lines.
That's the problem with this apps aggression. There's definitely an avenue for them to get through. And there's no way they're going to be ready for DP69. There's no chance. And look at Noro. Surely going to get taken down here. Oh, it's all going to be about timing. Has spotted the player. Oh no, DP69. He was ready to take down Noro.
Yeah, that's brutal. That's really could have gone much worse than it just has.
Chipsick still playing towards second oranges, and Senka going to be rotating in, keeping him alive. And there we have it. Hogriders surely just going to have to eco now. Platoon, they find 5.
I'm interested to know if DP decided to actually sort of play a little bit of trigger discipline. It looks like he potentially sort of spotted him a little sooner.
Yeah, definitely. I think he wanted to just get himself into ruins and potentially kind of single-handedly take the round for Hogriders, but the rotations are eventually going to come through because Hogriders are still sending so much utility over the B bomb site. Oh, look at that utility alone, finding 2, and now the flashbangs will come through. Chipsick.
Now the actual brunt of the Hogriders attack is coming out, but all getting punished. They want to let Chipsick get the A's.
Yeah, you've got to in these situations. It's just Shepard, 22 HP. Oh, Noro steals it away. Chipsick 13 and 3. Fenneman 8 and 2. It seems as though these 2 individuals single-handedly putting on a show for us. Macuse, Noro, and Senka, they only have 8 kills combined. As I mentioned, Platoon, even if they only find, 4 out of the last 9 rounds, it's still brilliant for them, but I doubt it. They've looked great here. I feel like unless Hogriders make a big change, things could get very dicey for them. Oh, look at McHugh's in a great position here. Destined to find this player in apps. DP69 goes down. It is going to be this fast A-pop, though, and they've used a lot of util just to take brackets. They've only got a molly and a nade to their name.
We've already seen what happened when they're very limited on utility. This could be brutal. Flash is a little early. No one's out towards long for Hogriders.
Yeah, but at least Noro can get posted up on this angle. Goes for the swing. What a shot there. Even Noro was surprised that he hit that one. I can't believe that bullet connected. Fenneman finds Shepard. Takes down Gibby. And it's just Kvartan remaining. 1v5 here.
Doesn't matter how far in the backlines he sneaks. They're going to be ready for him.
And the worst
know
thing,
that he's going to be towards long.
The worst thing is no rotations are coming through from Platoon from the B bomb site, and no one's playing from site. We've got McHugh's playing from pit, both players on short. Once Kvartan progresses out of library, surely is a dead man. The Hogriders. That's 7 rounds in a row that they've lost now. Obviously, you mentioned, when facing off against a side like Platoon, you need to be a little bit worried, and especially as Hogriders are this kind of unknown entity, as we mentioned before. It's their second game of SCL. This one's not looking too good either.
Kvartan could actually get taken down here after time. Chipstick does find him just before, so he's going to have the same amount of money as his team at least. I suppose it's a little bit of a saving grace, but the finances aren't in a great position for Hogriders. Realistically, they should ego. We've seen them go for a number of force buys throughout this game so far. Will this be a similar situation yet? I really don't think they should, but
sometimes
they don't. They do just opt for the half buy.
Sometimes what I like to see in these rounds is they've all got around that 4k mark. Sometimes I think it could be a good idea to just go for a full eco. Although you can bring out Deagles and Tech 9s, it's clear that Hogriders are struggling. So you just go for a full eco, you can get a full buyout, no limitations in the next, and you'll still have a little bit of money left over. And that means even if you do lose that next round, you can still get a full investment once again, because it's clear that Hogriders are struggling here. They need to be bringing out as many full buys as possible, and I don't think they're going to yield much from these half buys, but seems like a perfect call here. They're going into a two-man defense towards A, but Noro just tapping away here. It's on 3 so far. Fenneman might go for a knife kill. Just Tech 9 in hand. Doesn't want to take any chances, but that's the half one. Platoon, they found 8, and this is such a dominant game here.
I mean, the thing that's so interesting about it is the first 4 or 5 rounds really came down right to the wire.
Definitely.
We had, I mean, in the first 4 rounds, Fred, we had 3 1v1s.
In a 1v3.
The bomb was down in the first 4 rounds as well. It's really unbelievable stuff. I mean, just in terms of how close this game was, and yet it sort of seems like those early rounds just drained Hogriders very early on, and potentially if a couple of those rounds, all of those rounds, whatever it may be, went the way of Hogriders, this could be a different story, but it's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. It's 8-0 right now for Platoon. I mean, they're looking great with it. Yeah, Shepard gets tagged down. Do we have a nade to accompany it? We certainly don't. They're throwing it a little early, but Molly towards logs and a force Shepard out.
Yeah, something to mention as well about those clutches. Time and time again, it was these players. It was Chipsick. It was Phenomenon. It was these players that are kind of at the tip top of the scoreboard. And I feel like after winning a couple clutches in a row, think of the confidence you're going to gain. I think straight away, Phenomenon winning that 1 versus 3 on the pistol instantly is just given so much confidence to that one individual. And something else I've got to mention, because I feel like it has to be said, Hogriders, they've had so many opportunities to bring out an AWP, and they've opted against it. Potentially, they're not too confident, AWPing on the T side, but I feel like sometimes you do just need to make those plays. Ooh, DP69 though with a nice double. 3-on-3, and the bomb can go down.
Hogriders really didn't want to peek that at all. He should have heard that the play was very deep, and yet just they tucked play an anti-flash on, gave up his life for free. Look at this Ruins aggression though. There's so many bodies, but the flashbang is great. Nora's able to find one, doubles down somehow. They got in front of the last, and just like that, Hogriders once again failed to win another clutch situation.
It was another round where it seemed as though the spacing was, the positioning for Hogriders was perfect, but the timing on the swing certainly wasn't. Noro, after we saw him struggle to find that first kill, because it wasn't an instant kill, he was fully blinded, and they still struggled to find that frag. I assumed Noro was a dead man, but no. Somehow able to get the second as well.
There was a possibility Noro could have went down without finding anything. At worst case scenario, he should have been able to find one before getting traded. The fact he's able to find one with a bit of a laboured spray on the first player, and then somehow flick to the second and find that kill as well, is really ridiculous. Maybe Hogriders are sort of getting a bit drained, like I mentioned.
It's clear to see. Oh, Shepard's gone. I feel like it's clear to see that there is a real difference between these two teams. Oh, and just gifting a kill away for free there. Chipsick finds Kvartan.
Yeah, 3-on-5. U2's a bit lackluster. No flashbangs for Hogriders. I'm not sure if there's one that can be picked up off a teammate, but 2 smokes and 2 mollies. U2 was decent. If they had a couple of flashbangs behind it, would have been significantly better though.
But all 3 players towards long here. Chipsick finds 2. It's just on DP69 and just going to go into the crosshair of Noro. And that's 10 in a row now for Platoon.
I'm surprised we haven't really seen more timeouts from Hogriders or any timeouts really. Just sort of discussing things over what's going wrong here. We're 10-0 down to a team that's just been promoted from the public division, and obviously, like we mentioned, Platoon, they did come from the finals, so it was never going to be an easy matchup for anyone, but yeah, you sort of expected a bit more from Hogriders.
Yeah, especially as kind of this is their first season. It's clear that, you know, it seemed as though from previous results, maybe kind of other seasons, other tournaments, they deserve a position in the intermediate division, but Platoon really shutting them down.
Still time. I feel like we need a sort of Phenomenon sort of type clutch situation, maybe just to rejuvenate the sort of Hogriders players and sort of give them that belief back.
Nice shot there from Phenomenon. Senka can find one. All eyes are on him. And Kvarn, oh, I love this aggression. Could find a double here. Certainly does. 1 versus 5 gone 1v3. Feel like in this situation, you're 36 points of health. Maybe just pick up that AWP. Even if you're not so confident on it. Feel like the only weapon...
This is that clutch I was talking about, though, Fred. Maybe this is that sort of ridiculous result that Hogriders did need. Position of Senka's so good.
Kvarn does have the bomb, in fact, so can get planted. Can just go towards A here. Potentially making things a little too tough. Goes back to the B-bomb site, and as you mentioned, Senka in that great position. Does find the frag. AWP has been saved as well, and that's 11 in a row. Charlie, dare I say it? Are we looking at a 16-0 here?
You know, it didn't cross my mind once, and it's strange to say that. But when there has been some very dominant rounds, but there's also been a lot of really, really close ones, and I feel like Hogriders, surely they've got to find one of them sooner or later.
Yeah, especially because, you know, this game isn't over yet. Let's say Hogriders find the final 4, and they go on a bit of a streak on that, well, on their CT side.
Wooden pistol, it can really sort of just show a bit of life.
And that's sometimes all you need in those situations.
No, getting very aggressive. Should be able to find his kill towards Boiler. Does miss his shot, but grabs the second.
It was kind of
from his teammate, chips him down a little bit, but no significant damage.
Kind of gifted that second opportunity for the peak. Senka just going to be falling back.
Fred Gibby's actually got the AWP now. It feels like we potentially should have seen it quite a while ago. The gap in the smoke has been seen to see Kvarn cross, but no kill actually found from it. In fact, he's just solo pushing through the smoke. Doesn't bomb on his back. Gets taken down.
Oh.
It's just too easy here for Platoon.
And Gibby's AWP doesn't yield anything. All 5 alive there for Platoon.
I mean, you understand sort of... It sort of seems like everyone was just lining up towards B, getting ready for an execute. Kvarn potentially thought, I've got a time in here.
Yeah, definitely.
I've got a time in here. Just trust me, guys. Let's go. And obviously, it's better if you all do it than none of you do it, or you just let one do it alone. But the issue is, it's really, it feels a little too easy for Platoon.
Nice shot there from Phenomenon. Yeah, it definitely seems as though there is a real difference between these sides. Yes, we've had a lot of rounds go close, but I feel like Platoon, they are just dominating. Even when it gets to these tough clutches, I'm still not thinking that Hogriders, they've got, you know, a strong chance. They're just going to go for an apps pop here, and they're just going to get crunched in on. Nora and McHughes finding 3 between them. It's just Runston remaining. 1v5. And that's 2 rounds in a row, Charlie, that Platoon have kept 5 alive. Look at the confidence. Look at the ability on this side.
But to point out, Hogriders actually opted to force that. I don't really know why they opted to force that round. Potentially, it's a round that they potentially think they can get a guaranteed bomb plant from, but
do it text.
It really was. Yeah, you think you'll just as good results, really. I mean, it can't really get much worse than all 5 alive, but yeah, it is interesting that they opted to force that because the blow wasn't great. Fugalil was Mac 10.
Yeah, I think
Certainly not ideal.
obviously it was round 13. I think they want to get a force half buy and then they can get a full buy on the last. So it means that they have, well, it doesn't really matter. They'd have 2 half buys and a full buy regardless, but I guess potentially just wanted to take the fight to their opponents. But look at that, Senka with a double. Potentially could have backed away there, maybe got a little bit too hungry, but look at that nade. Absolutely perfect. They've spotted one on the cross. The smoke will land, and now they progress through. The Molotov going to deal a lot of damage, but Kvarton finds Phenomen. Chipsick, the molly from Chipsick there does take down Kvarton, so still man advantage here for Platoon. Just a tap of the bomb, though.
It's just allowed these players to get closer and closer. Nora can deny the bomb now.
Yeah, and the smoke was still down towards Banana. They really needed to kind of utilize these smokes. They need to make sure they... Ooh! DP69, it looked great, but Noro's nade.
Yeah, such an anticlimactic end to the round there. It looked like this was the clutch that Hogriders needed. At the last sort of chance saloon, they were gifted something, finding that second kill through the smoke, but just the nade getting dunked down.
They needed that bomb plant, though. I feel like they can still win these rounds, but it's just so tough. Noro just got an easy kill on the bomb planter because that smoke faded. It seems as though everything that Hogriders are doing, it's just playing into the Platoon beta's hands. It's just working out so well for them. That tap on the bomb allows the rotations to kind of get ever closer. Flash coming through once again. Senka will only be able to find one. Chipsick going to be rotating back. Another hefty nade. Has spotted one. Will send the one-way smoke again, but it is just going to be this fast pop here. I like the idea behind it. The running spray from DP69. And now we have man advantage here for Hogriders. They've got a real chance. And the rotations aren't going to be all too fast either. As Phenomen going to be going towards CT instead of pushing down Banana. Definitely the right call to make. Banana being quite a tough place to try and retake from, especially with the AWP. But Charlie, Platoon, they've got so much money in the bank. They can just go for this round.
It's last 1.5 anyway.
Oh, yeah, of course.
There's no issue, but I mean, they've got decent amount of util on their side. That's going to be the one-up that they have on Hogriders, despite having that man advantage. The time is still ticking away.
Molly towards Stark.
Well, he could just take out DP. Oh, he doesn't. He does keep himself alive, but barely.
Hogriders, they finally find one round. 14-1. Do we think they can?
Get denied.
Do we think Hogriders can bring this back?
No, not particularly. I think it'll be an absolutely unbelievable run if they do, but I just can't see it happening after that sort of performance that we saw in the first half. I certainly think they can get a few more rounds to keep themselves sort of this game a little bit more entertaining, but
they got with
Hogriders, I mean, it's very little and very late. You can really see how at the end of that half, they just sort of gave up on A. They sort of just felt like, yeah, we can't do this. We've got to go to the site where there's one less man and we can hopefully just overwhelm. And the fact that Senka went down 1-for-1, they just knew we can abuse this final player. He's going to try this one-way smoke again. If we just force the push through the smoke, we know that there's not 2 men on the other side. There's only one. We can try to take this fight, and obviously they succeeded. They went 1-for-0 on the site entry, and just man advantage really is what helped them in that retake.
It's kind of like a type of round that you really just going to be forcing, and it seemed as though Hogriders really didn't have that kind of much to go with. Obviously, you mentioned before, the A-bomb site was completely unlocked. It seemed as though everything that Hogriders threw at Platoon Beta, they were just ready for. And as you mentioned, the fact that Senka only found one, I say only found one, going 1-for-1's not the be-all and end-all, but Hogriders, they kind of just forced their way through the smoke. And I feel like we have seen time and time again, we've seen Chipsick, I believe, is the second B defender. We've seen him find a flurry of kills in that situation, but luckily for Hogriders, they were able to take him down. But now Platoon Beta on this T side. Noro in a nice position here towards Banana. The flash will come through.
The CTs were flashed in there. They spotted nothing. Return flash from Platoon, trying to take a bit more Banana control themselves. Very slow played pistol around here. Not much aggression's really been taken from any of the CTs, so they're still going to be left guessing, and that's why you can see a player like Kvarton playing from this deep CT position just so he can fast rotate between either site.
We still got 2 smokes though, Charlie. I think we're just going to be seeing a simple B execute. And there we have it. The CT smoke, ruin smoke coming through. The flashbang will come over. And here we have it. Oh, I like the idea from Gibby, but just gives his life away. Kvarton will find one. Lucky shot onto Noro. We do have Chipsick fairly low. Ooh, Shepard going for a gunfight here, and success is found. 3 on 4. Smoke's faded. Oh, Senka. I like that play, but once again, potentially a little bit too much fight in there. Chipsick gets the dink at range. It's going to be a tough one, though. Kvarton just barreling his way onto the bomb site. Chipsick very low HP, trapped towards the pillar. Surely won't be able to find anything else before going down. Ronston will take him down, and we have another Fenneman 1v3.
Yeah, the smoke can actually help him a little bit here, but his low HP might be the end of that. Not really progressing much. Finally does get taken down. Hogriders do find their second.
Nice pistol round there from Hogriders. It seemed as though everything was going wrong for them when we saw Gibby just jump into the open. It definitely caught them off, but they still found that frag.
Yeah, so Kvarton's kill through the smoke really, I think, just kept that round in contention.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of usual sent towards B here. And Hogriders have taken a great bit of control. Kvarton's just on a set of Julies.
Yeah, must have dropped over something. Must have dropped
the
over
M4 to Runston, yeah, potentially. Interesting. Maybe they just want to get that AWP on Runston as quick as possible.
Gibby was wielding it in the first half, potentially just to drop it over. I mean,
it's only just a one round. You never know, really.
I mean, yeah, teams. I mean, it's not all exactly been unnatural for AWPers to not prioritize getting the AWP out on the T side of Inferno. And a lot of teams, and it seems like Hogriders are one of those teams who prefer to run the 5 rifles rather than having the AWP. So potentially it was more of a call that Gibby made. Oh, I just feel like we need the AWP out. How about I would in this round? Because a lot of AWPers just aren't massively comfortable with it on the T side of Vertigo, and that's not that surprising a thing. But Platoon probably have their best chance heading towards B. Only one defender here.
Oh, it's going to be tough here. Oh, he's made his position known, and Noro finds DP69 here.
Spam is very good, though. Brings Fenneman and Noro down pretty low without even spotting them. This is still a round that's going to be tough. There's more rifles on the side of Platoon than there are on Hogriders.
Something to mention, the one kit on Shepard does have a smoke as well. Kvarton's still tucked towards Banana here. Obviously with the Julies, just going to wait for McHughes to divert his attention. But that kill from Shepard, really important. But the time's going to be ticking away. Oh, and Noro finds one, retrieves the MP9, can find another. And the time's going to be ticking now. They're going to have to stick on the bomb. If Kvarton goes down, it could be over. No, they do find the frag there. Even with the Julies, they find success.
Really well played there from Kvarton, in fact. He knew he was on weaker weapons and heavily relied on the rest of his teammates there. You saw he just wasn't peeking towards Banana at all. Waited so long. The Banana player had to start to finally focus towards sight, and that's when he peeks, gets a bit of a freebie towards Banana and finds the final player as well.
It's kind of the perfect play there. We could have seen the Julies be the one to take pressure away, but it was clear that we saw there was a lot of confidence there in his team to kind of just take that retake as a 3 and just leave Kvarton to kind of lurk towards Banana, and it worked out perfectly. Opening pick does go the way of Platoon, though.
One player standing behind the smoke. It is Runston. Finds 2.
Does get taken down, though.
Come through. 3 on 3 here. Shepard in an advanced position. Finds one and is allowed to back off. In fact, I say that. Chipstick tries to counter but finds another.
Fenneman's going to get eliminated here. I don't know if you saw that, Charlie. Shepard heard the steps towards Apps, and it's so clear that they don't want to give anything up. He just preemptively just spammed just awaiting the swing.
He went down there. That's the A site under the control of Platoon. 2 versus 2. They had the util to play with, or at least enough util to play with. Things could have certainly been tricky for Hogriders.
You mentioned this is where they can kind of get a couple rounds on this CT side. They have found 3 so far. Obviously, we're going to be seeing a full buy from Platoon in the next, and that's where things could get a little bit troublesome. Senka is aware of this. Heard the jump there. And he knows there's 2 more towards Banana.
Yeah, the issue is, weapons aren't able to be retrieved on the side of Platoon, so you're going to have to really make use of what they've got. Fetterman does press through the smoke.
Just off that reload.
Really wants the weapon, able to get it unharmed. And luckily, timing's perfect on the swing. Shepard falls. That's the A site under the control of Platoon. Money's not in a good position, Fred, for Hogriders. Realistically, they should probably save this, but this is a 14-4 scoreline.
I think they're going to be searching for a pick, but look at the positioning of the Platoon beta side. They're just not giving anything up, and rightly so. Don't give it anything for Hogriders to work with. Yes, you're on a 4v2, but we've seen these type of clutches really spiral out of control, but Chipsick, he's one to get a little bit inquisitive. Oh, so much damage dealt there.
Yeah, they can run here. This was a half buy for Platoon. Money's not really that big a deal from them. They can get by in the next round anyway. They want to take these weapons out of the hands of Hogriders.
We do have Senka running it down towards Banana. Kvartan with a perfect spam there. Ooh, there was a chance he could find another. But Platoon, they found match point. They've got 11 opportunities to close it out. I feel like we all knew where this one was going. Hogriders could be staring at another 16-4 loss.
Still a decent enough buy to play with thanks to those 2 saved weapons. I mean, Fred, 11 rounds needed. It's a long, long journey back.
It's going to be a tough one as well. I feel like best case scenario, Hogriders maybe bring it to 15-8. But they could be all over here. You never know.
Platoon, they are lining up towards A. This could be the final round of this matchup here, but
something to mention, obviously it's early in the season, and the T side of Hogriders. What was that timing? Did he not swing? Did he not check it?
He might not have swung enough. Maybe he sort of glimpsed of him and sort of got paranoid, runs them. Finally does swing and take him down, but loses a teammate in the process. Heading towards long. The MP9 is going to be really difficult at range. Gets caught out, in fact, but still able to back off. These 2 players towards short, they can really get caught out now.
You see that? They're in a nice position, and as Kvartan's rotated in, does find Fetterman. 2 on 4 here with Senka 5 HP. Noro with so much work to do, and currently in mini pit. This timing on the nade could be perfect though. Look at that. Noro finds 1. Senka will go down, but it's all on Noro. 2 HP. This round's over, surely.
Oh no.
Will find 1. Oh, it's a 1-on-1. What a 15 HP on Kvartan. That could have been another clutch that goes the way of Platoon beta. That is ridiculous. And we are going to be seeing a buy from Platoon. Look at the money of some individuals. Fenneman, 7k, Noro as well. But yeah, as I was going to say, Hogriders, they had a really poor T side. And I feel like a game like this, you've got the demo. You can go back. You can kind of see your mistakes. And especially on a map like Inferno, one in which I feel like a lot of teams are going to be playing quite a lot this season. Especially as it is usually that kind of map for best of ones. At least usually the 3rd map in best of 3s. So I feel like there is a lot for Hogriders to look at in this one. But hopefully they don't lose their confidence early. Because yes, they've had a poor start to the season. But it's a long season. They can still get themselves into a nice spot.
Limitations on both sides in this round. It feels like we are just waiting for the inevitable here. When will Platoon finally find that 16? And how much can Hogriders battle back? Because Yeah, I think that can be a big thing. Obviously, they've had a 16-4 loss already, like you mentioned this season, and it's certainly not a great way to start your season. It can sort of knock your confidence a little bit, and they really wouldn't want to have another sort of domination. So just sort of potentially them bringing themselves back into this game, whether they lose it or not, can really just change up how a team does shape up for the rest of the season. But in fact, a decent amount of kills are going the way of Platoon.
Kvartan has found so many kills through smokes.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Fred, there's no util here for the CT side.
There's only one kit as well. It is on Kvartan.
And another smoke going down towards long. Just the sort of positioning from Fenneman here towards Boiler can really catch off DP.
It does find the kill. It's all over. Kvartan surely can't win this one. We'll push through the smoke. And there we have it. Senka will eliminate. The game will go the way of Platoon. And I'll be honest with you, Charlie. Rightly so. They dominated on their CT side. They deserved to take that one. And I feel like we all knew where this one was going to go. But as you mentioned right at the start, very early on, it came off the back of a lot of clutches, a lot of close rounds. And the early, the first maybe 6 rounds of the game, it was a close affair. Yes, it was a 6-0 start, but we still saw life from Hogriders. They were constantly getting themselves into the bomb site, getting that bomb down and bringing these clutches close, but they just weren't the ones winning them. And I feel like if we saw Hogriders, kind of win a portion of those clutches, we could be looking at a very different game here. But it seemed as though once maybe Platoon found those 8 rounds in a row on the CT side, maybe the mentality of the Hogriders team was a little bit broken. But what are your thoughts after that one?
Yeah, I mean, that certainly could have been an aspect to it. It did feel like they weren't at their top form. It looked like it's a very close game at the start, but things certainly did sort of fall apart a little bit, I think it's fair to say, for Hogriders. They didn't have that same finesse that they had in the first few rounds or so, which is a bit disappointing to see. But, I mean, sometimes that is just how it goes. When you get so many rounds down on a map that you should be pretty strong at, it can be a bit disheartening. But hopefully for Hogriders, they can turn around their season as soon as possible, because 2 losses early on is never going to be ideal. They really need to find that win that could sort of bring that confidence back.
Yeah, most definitely. Obviously, we saw some signs of life from Hogriders, as we mentioned before. A lot of those early rounds were close. I feel like Kvartan, definitely a player to point out time and time again, kind of keeping the team alive in those key rounds. But I feel like we didn't have the signs of life that we needed to see from individuals like Gibby and Shepard, both really kind of not performing to that standard that they really need to if they want to try and, get themselves to playoffs, or maybe even keep themselves in the intermediate division, because losing 2 games quite early, it can be a tough one. But obviously, we've seen Platoon Beta so far this season. That was their 2nd game. That's 2 wins in a row. It's put them in a nice position in the leaderboard. Don't know if you have the league leaderboards up at the moment, Charlie, but maybe just give us a little bit of a rundown.
Yeah, I mean, so Platoon, they're 6th from the leaderboard. Obviously, it's the top 16 do make their way to playoffs. So, obviously, like you mentioned, Platoon Beta, they are 2-0 up in this series. Obviously, top to sort of 6th place is teams that are 2-0, so it's only coming down to round difference as to why Platoon Beta are here. There's only a matter of rounds in it, so very close affair at the top of the leaderboard right now. Things aren't as sunny on the side of Hogriders, though, as they are 30th out of 31 right now. So 2nd bottom, quite far away from playoffs, but obviously, like we mentioned, still plenty of games left, plenty of chances for Hogriders to make their way further and further up the leaderboard.
Yeah, and obviously we've seen from these 2 intermediate division teams, we're going to be seeing from another 2 in about an hour or so. It is YMCA Esports versus Enro Griffins. Obviously, we haven't seen anything from Enro Griffins, so maybe they can bring kind of a bright spark to their season. But obviously, that's been it from us for now. We will be back in about an hour or so for that 2nd matchup. And once again, another Inferno game, so that should be a nice one too. But we'll catch you guys in about an hour or so.